Hi, everybody. I'm Tamara Zoner.
And I'm John Davis.
Welcome to Spirit Cafe.
Come in, sit down, and
grab a cup of love.
A Spirituality Without the Guilt podcast. Hello, my friends, and welcome to Spirit Cafe. It is indeed a pleasure to have you here on this fine and glorious day. I am very excited this day because we have a special guest today. We have an amazing special guest today. She is an expert in conscious creation. She has created a happy life for herself and her clients and her family. Just an amazing individual. You see her consciously creating things every day, and it's just incredible to watch. And ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, let me introduce our guest today, the lovely, the powerful Tamara Zoner. Hello, Tamara. How are you?
I'm great. I'm excited to be a guest on my own show.
Yeah, it's good. I think it's good. I'm excited about it. I think it's going to be a very, very fun time.
It is going to be a very fun time because we are talking about my favorite, I probably say that about 10 different topics, but one of my very favorite topics. I mean, let's be honest. Every week in my deep dive for happiness class, I'll say, this is my favorite area of happiness. I love them all.
Yeah. I was telling somebody the other day that we were talking about the various modes of psychic ability. We talked about clairaudience, clairsentience, clairvoyance. And I said, my favorite clair is an eclair. and it's true. I mean, it is. It absolutely is.
And yet neither one of us have had one of those in a long time.
Long time. Tamara, I know this is one of your favorite topics. I've heard you talk about it many times before. And so why don't you tell me what conscious creation is for you?
Conscious creation for me is being very aware and clear of what you want to create in your life, and then taking the action toward the creation of that or those things, while at the same time partnering with the universe so that we set our intentions, we take our action, and then we also remember that we are co-creators of our experience, and we get to draw on the universe, God, source, yada, yada, for partnership in this creation. And it's this really beautiful thing. And I guess before we go deeper, let's talk about what do we mean by conscious?
That's a great segue, because there is a difference between conscious and unconscious or subconscious, and higher conscious and super conscious. There's all kinds of various levels of consciousness.
Yeah.
But in consciousness, I'm going to jump us over to gallery view so I can look at you side by side. So there you go. And now it's going to be recorded this way. And we're going to be like, you're not going to be able to do those funny faces you usually do at me when I'm on camera. So there you go. Not that she really ever does that. Anyway. Well, in psychology and hypnosis, especially in neurolinguistics, you're working with the conscious, the subconscious, the superconscious, right? But the interesting thing is that the conscious moment of all of them is only in the present moment. All the rest of them are elsewhere. And the superconscious has the past, present, and future. The subconscious is all past. It's in the past experience. And so your subconscious beliefs all come from past experience. And so the only moment that you are truly conscious is the present moment. And if you think about it this way, the conscious moment is the only moment that you have thought, word, and deed. And you can't have thought, word, or deed in the future. You can't have thought, word, and deed in the past, because there's only one moment that you have the three. And those are the three creative elements. Now, for me, I find it fascinating because, when we step into the role of creator in our life, it really comes down to, like you said, start becoming consciously creating, using our thought, words, and deeds to create the outcome that we're trying to deliver.
Yeah, using them. I like how you said that.
Right. The interesting thing is that we spend 85 to 90% of our day in our subconscious mind. And we constantly, naturally draw from those beliefs.
Mm-hmm.
And I am constantly working with people to get them to be very present, get them to be very much in the present moment, because it's what I call the I am moment, the God moment, the yada yada moment, right? It's
That should be your next book, The Yada Yada Moment.
the yada yada. Oh, that's a great title too.
I love that.
The yada yada moment. The yada yada moment, right? The I am moment is not the I will be or I was moment, but we have to take the time to find out what we are truly unconsciously creating.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yes,
that's the
yes.
toughest part is to figure out what we're actually unconsciously creating.
Well, I don't think it's that difficult to figure out. And I'll tell you why and what people need to do to see what they're unconsciously creating. Look around. Look around,
Right.
see what results you have in your life currently today, right now. Are they what you think that you want or not? And that tells you what you're creating and what is the actual driving force in your creation. You're right. We're always creating, and we can be just, it's like when we're driving. And we're driving somewhere we've gone 100 times. So we know it. We just know it. And we go on autopilot. And suddenly we're further along in our drive than we realize. And we look around and we're like, dang, how did I get here already? We're not paying attention because we're just on autopilot. And this is what happens when people look around and they're like, dang, how did I get here?
Right.
How did I end up here? What's this stuff? Or because if we look around and we're like, yes, I have everything in my life that I've been wanting and working towards and choosing in favor of, then it's like, yeah, I know exactly how I got here because I was awake the whole time and paying attention and making choices with very deep awareness, conscious awareness of this action, this choice will move me toward my dream ideal life. This action won't. So I'll take the one that does.
Right.
And if we're not in this awareness, if we're not being conscious, then stuff will show up that we don't expect, we don't want.
Right.
And so conscious creation is not to say that you're always going to be alert every minute of the day, but consistently returning to this place of awareness. And that's why, like with my passion test clients, I'll have them make their passion cards and keep them in several areas of their house so that several times a day, they're looking at their cards and reading their ideal life and getting it into their subconscious so that the subconscious can help drive them forward toward that ideal life.
And for you guys who are listening, Tamara and I have a mutual friend who is taking the passion test with Tamara right now, and I have to hear on a regular basis how great it is. So if you guys are thinking about getting a passion test, jump over to Tamara's website, tamarazoner.com, and jump and get one, because I will tell you, our mutual friend is simply thrilled. So simply thrilled. So it's fascinating. But one of the things that you said that I want to tap into was look around. You said, look around. Our present moment really is, when you look around, it really is the residual effect of what we created before. And I think to be a conscious creator, you've got to be in the present, but look one step ahead. And you've got to look at that, where I'm going, and create that into life. But now, to break this subconscious belief, it comes down to doing something very simple. And this is what I think is meant by be born again. It means, set down your past experience and start something new. That's what I believe that actually means. But what happens is in our moment of creation, our I am moment, our subconscious mind falls out of our mouth all day long. And to give you an example, my parents had parents who went through the Depression, right? So they had a big lack mentality.
Yes,
and
same. My parents too.
Yeah, and so that lack mentality gets handed down. You get these subconscious beliefs. Money doesn't grow on trees. Money's hard to come by. All those subconscious beliefs are in there, right? And all day long, we say things like, well, I'm struggling to do this, and I'm
Mhm.
hoping to do that. I'm wishing, needing, wanting, trying, all that
Right.
crap.
This is really
Right.
hard, or I can't.
Right. All those words. And if you want to look at it from a biblical standpoint, that whatever you ask in God's name is granted. Moses said God's name is I am, and I am wanting, I am needing, I am hoping, I'm trying, I can't. All that stuff is the subconscious belief that are being created.
Mhm.
Now, on another one of these episodes, I talked about the Buddhist quote, "Life is suffering," really meaning life is really being translated to life is suffering because of our habitual responses to our subconscious belief. Well, it's that subconscious belief that we're talking about. You've got to
Mhm.
break that cycle of subconscious and get very present and get very conscious about what you're creating. And I know, Tamara, you have done amazing things in your life consciously, and I also have done amazing things in my life consciously, and it really does come down to being very, very present, don't you think?
I absolutely do. And I love what you said about breaking the subconscious beliefs, but really we need to dig them up, uproot them. Because one thing I have seen again and again in clients and in myself, in my own experience, is that if my ideal is a beautiful home and a nice car and a deeply loving, connected relationship, and in my subconscious, I don't believe that I'm deserving of it or worthy of it, then I will hold myself back. And I literally did that, right? I did it
Mhm.
over and over again because of the subconscious beliefs that I grew up with, that money is the root of all evil. So if you have a big, beautiful home or you drive a nice car, right? Like I couldn't drive a BMW. I'm a Jeep Chrysler family, right?
Mm.
And there are these like bonds of loyalty to your family of origin just because it's been put into your programming, your subconscious thinking and way of being, that you can't rise to a different level than your family. So until I could dig it up, take a look at it, and get rid of the beliefs and replace them, because you can't just get rid of anything, habits or thoughts, you have to replace them. There's a hole to fill there. And as soon as I was able to replace them, now I'm looking around. I'm in a big, beautiful home, driving a BMW. Granted, it's a 2008, but I love that car. And I have the relationship of my dreams.
Mm.
And a year ago, it was nowhere in my field of vision, right? I had a home that I loved and was beautiful and comfortable, but it wasn't big. And we didn't have a lot of space with the three kids and me.
Mm.
And I was driving a crappy car that was fun, but crappy. And so I had to really look at like, okay, I've created a lot of great things. I have a career that I love and that's growing and building, and amazing, incredible friendships because I've consciously chosen, the kind of people that I want to be around and the kind of friend I want to be. And here are the areas that when I look around aren't what I want. So what's going on within me that needs to be not ever fixed,
Right.
but uncovered, and the dirt needs to come off in a way, right? I need to get rid of the dirt that's covering up the true essence of who I am and the beliefs that my soul believes,
Mhm.
not the beliefs that society and family put into me.
Right. And you what you were saying makes perfect sense to me because um in the words of Yoda, named must your fear be before it banish it you can.
Oh yeah.
Right. Right. Named must your fear be before banish it you can.
Mhm.
Named must your subconscious beliefs be before you can break free of them. And the way you have to do that is you have to consciously name your subconscious beliefs. You have to label them.
Absolutely.
I believe this. And a lot of times those subconscious beliefs are based on misinformation. For,
Oh,
for,
for
ex-
sure.
for example, the quote is not money is the root of all evil. The
Ah,
quote is the love of money is the root of many evils. And they mean two different things, right?
absolutely.
But we're told for years that the money was the root of all evil, right? We're told that it's not okay to make money and do spiritual work. You know,
Exactly.
that's it. Those are subconscious beliefs that are based upon misinformation. So
Mhm.
you really need to get back to this conscious moment and go, okay, what do I really do? What do I really believe? And what am I creating?
Yeah, there's a beautiful quote that I use when I do passion tests in the Bhagavad Gita. and it's curving back on myself, I create again and again. And, it's so whatever is within is what is coming out into the external world. And
Mm-hmm.
so, it's another one that I say is, what you believe in your heart of hearts is what you're creating. So again, it's back to this belief. We have to get aware and conscious of what we're believing about ourselves, about life, about success and wealth and abundance, and make sure that those beliefs are supportive in this creation of a life that we really want and can love.
Right. I think a lot of it starts with actually sitting down and writing what you want, saying, this
Oh,
is what I
yes.
want. That's what the passion test does for you. It helps
It
you
does, because if you
define
don't
it.
know what you want, like if I don't know that I want to get to the Empire State Building and I just put New York in my GPS, I'm not going to get where I want to be. I'm going to be
Right.
like, I know it's somewhere around here,
Right.
but, so, I mean, you can actually see the Empire State Building if you get close enough, you can find your way, but
Sure.
you're going to take a lot longer than if you get very clear on what and where and input the precise GPS markers.
And GPS is a great analogy because, you put your destination in your GPS. The first thing the GPS is find out where you are.
Yeah.
And
And
so
even if you take a wrong turn, it guides you back on the right
redirects you
path.
back. Right. Right. So I agree with you that it does come down to, finding out what it is you do want. But
Mhm.
then you have to consciously find out what your subconscious beliefs are that aren't helping you get that or blocking you from getting
Exactly.
that.
Yeah.
And then it comes to a matter of addressing those beliefs. Now, here's something when I'm working with my clients, I talk about the being very present and actively catching those words and, wanting, needing, hoping, trying, all those things.
Mhm.
If I was to drop this into spirituality, in the beginning is the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. You put your word and your belief consciously into something, and it goes out to the source around us, and then it gets created in the image around us, which is the image of God, because we are in God's image. And so we are literally in this experience. And it really comes back to the idea that as you create, you have to really step into the role of creator, because
Mhm.
we have lost it. We've lost our creation sometimes because of our subconscious beliefs.
Yeah. And we think life just happens to us and we
Right,
don't have control.
right,
And it's not true.
right.
We have
And so when
control.
I'm talking to people and I have them catch those words, I say, but here's what I need you to do. I need you to start consciously stacking present moments that are positive and aim towards your goals. Stack moments that are in alignment with your outcome. And then what happens is this moment gets dropped into your subconscious belief. And then you do another moment and it gets dropped into your subconscious belief. You do another moment, it gets dropped, and your subconscious belief starts getting filled with all these conscious creations. And then your subconscious mind is being changed to work on autopilot for you. And you're having this
Mhm.
motion. But here's where people get stuck, I find, is they get stuck on the modality. So they go, oh, I'm not supposed to say try. Oh, I'm so dumb. Right?
Yeah.
That's why I went bald. I'll smack the hair. I thought, man. But the thing was, it's not, I say to them, give yourself permission, first of all, to be fallible. But
Mhm.
second of all, give yourself permission to redirect and say, well, that's silly. I'm not doing that. I'm
Yes.
doing this, right? Because
Yeah.
then you're stacking another positive moment rather
Yes.
than wasting that next moment on a negative.
Exactly. And I do the same thing in a different way, of course. And it's just like, when I decided, for instance, I'll give this example a lot to my clients, that I was going to do a daily practice of yoga, anywhere from 5 to 60 minutes a day. My every day is really 5 or 6 days a week, so that I have compassionate wiggle room. And
Mm.
so if there's a day where I wake up, which is pretty rare anymore, just because the benefits of the yoga drive me, and I say, well, gosh, I'm too tired, or I just don't feel like it today, or it's a really busy morning and I'm not going to take the time, then immediately I have self-forgiveness and compassion. And like, that's okay. At first, when I would skip a day, I had to practice self-forgiveness and like, it is okay. Today you can rest, da, 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 da. And so like self-forgiveness and self-compassion is an active part of conscious creation, and changing the language that we use to talk to ourselves so that we're lifting ourselves up instead of crushing ourselves with that, oh, I'm so stupid, oh, change the language. You were not stupid. Oh, I could have made a better choice. I think I will next time, and so consistently catching yourself in the way that you're bullying yourself. So in my work, I call this the inner critic, the inner bully. And what we want to do is shift that into your inner cheerleader so that you're always supporting yourself and catching yourself when that critic pops back in, and changing the language, because that is like fertilizer for the roots of the plant of your life.
Right.
I can pour like gas on my plant, or I can pour fertilizer on it, and one of them is going to make it grow and the other is going to kill the plant. So
you led the comedian to water, but he's not going to drink so that we can keep our PG rating.
Good. Sometimes weird analogies come out of my
mouth. I think, I agree with everything you're saying. I think that,
of course you do.
Of course. Well, yeah. I mean, really. Well, you think about this. Most people don't. Their issue and their subconscious beliefs will often affect their capability because they won't believe they're capable, and that's a subconscious belief. Bible says, "Whatever you ask in God's name is granted if you have faith." But there's another one that says, "If you have faith as small as a mustard seed, you can ask a mountain to move, and it will move." And then the next line's the good one. Nothing will be impossible for you. When you tell yourself and you convince yourself and you believe that you can do anything, you can. And that people think I'm crazy when I say something like that. And I I had a van that had a rusted out body, and it had a great engine and transmission, a 1978 Chevy van. I know you're like excited about that, right? But my father had a 1978 Chevy van that had a great body and a bad engine and transmission. And I ended up buying my dad's van from him, and I pulled them next to them side by side in the driveway. And I did the thing that everyone in my family does when we're going to do something mechanical. I called my brother-in-law. I say, "Hey, buddy, can you come help me swap an engine?" Because I knew that I'd be handing him wrenches and holding a flashlight. And he said, "Get started and call me if you have a problem." And I said, "Okay." And I went out there and I took 2 pieces of plywood and I started stacking present moments successfully. I had 2 pieces of plywood and a Sharpie pen and masking tape. And every piece I took off, I put a piece of masking tape on it, wrote what it was, where it came from, and put it on the plywood with a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, made a list on both. I took both vans apart completely, took both transmissions and engines out, right? Put the good one in the van, put the other one in the back of the van because I didn't have to install that one again. And then I realized that my van was an automatic transmission and my dad's van was a 3-speed on the column. And so now I had to change the steering columns. So I changed the steering columns. Now, before I did all this, the only thing I'd ever done mechanically was I changed spark plugs, which isn't hard. And I attempted to change my brakes. And if you look at my thumb, there's a scar on there where the spring popped and I smacked it on the inside of the fender and it bled like crazy. And my brother-in-law finished my brakes for me. So I was not a mechanic in any stretch of imagination. But here I am swapping engines, transmissions, and steering columns. And I came to the last day because I was saying, I can do this. And I'm making each of these moments successful. And so, because I knew that if I made this moment successful, putting it back together was creating another successful moment. And so I ended up getting on the last day, tightening the last bolt, looking at my van with the engine and transmission and the steering column in it. And I'm like, I'm done. I'm done. And I never called my brother-in-law, right? So I was very proud. I climbed up in that van, I stuck that key in there, and nothing happened. Couldn't start. So I did the shame walk, and I walked into the house, and I called my brother-in-law. He says, I'll be right down. He just came right down because he was a great brother-in-law. And he comes down, he looks at it, he says, this is, he climbs up in the van, and vroom, the van starts. I'm like, my God, man, you're magic. What did you do? He says, John, everything looks great. Engine's all done right. The electric's all done right. Everything looks perfect. The steering column looks right. But John, you have the only automatic transmission van in the country that you have to push the clutch pedal in to start. Right. Unfortunately, it's a true story, but I did that.
Yes.
But I knew I could. And the way I did that was getting very present and making successful present moments that were in alignment with my outcome. And that's the same thing with any conscious creation. You've got to get very present, create successful present moments that are in alignment with outcome, but think one step ahead to where you're going and what it is you're creating, because where you are right here, right now is residual effect of your past.
Yep. And to know that, like, if that van didn't start, it wouldn't be a failure. It would be feedback and learning, right? One thing that you would know to do differently the next time. So all of our mistakes are just missed takes, and we take two and we do it again and we learn from it and we keep going forward. And if what we're creating isn't what we want, we can realign with what we do and get clearer. And clarity is a process. So we have to be patient with ourselves as it unfolds. And as we decide with awareness, consciously, that this is what we're moving toward and creating in our lives. And then to notice all that's good around you right now as well. So we create from this place of already being abundant, already living a life that we love, and we get to make it even more fun and interesting.
Right, exactly. And a lot of people using the van analogy, when I discovered that I needed a steering column too, a lot of people at that moment would have given up, even though they're 3/4 of the way done.
Yes.
And they I can't do it now. No, you just keep doing it. We every so often we have something thrown at us out of the blue. Like say, for instance, I don't know, say a guest decides not to show up. So
it happens.
It happens, right?
Yeah.
But when it happens, it's not for us to get all angry or mad, or it's us for say, okay, what am I doing now?
Yes. And this is where I implore the mantra, everything happens for me. Everything happens for me. And that way I can go, oh, I don't know how this is for me yet, but I'll find out eventually.
Right.
So look, this is for us because we just had this incredible conversation that wouldn't have happened if the guest had showed up.
Right. What thank you, guest, for not showing up. So there you go, in your face. Anyway, what I love about that is, Bruce Lee talks about being like water. He said, and he says, when you're in water and you're going downstream and you come to a rock, the rock isn't there to stop you. The rock is just there to be something to overcome to get to your goal.
Yes.
Eventually the water can go around it, over it, and over time through it. It'll break it down too. And it's not a matter of coming to that place, that rock, and saying, well, I can't now, and stopping your momentum. It literally is a matter of staying flexible in those moments of adversity. And in those moments of adversity, for me, I don't know about you, but for me, those moments of adversity have given me some of the greatest experiences in my life. And here's another part. Here's another part about conscious creation and law of attraction stuff, even. Years ago, I was supposed to speak in Virginia Beach at the Association for Research and Enlightenment for the Edgar Cayce Foundation. And it was 3 months out, and I had a big chipped tooth in my mouth. I may have told you this story.
You did. I think you shared it when we were maybe you shared it when we were talking to Neo.
Maybe I think so. Yeah. But basically, I put out a conscious creation of having the perfect tooth for the speech, and then the next day I bit into a sandwich and that tooth broke completely off. Now I could have said, well, that didn't work, or I could easily just say, Oh, where's this leading me? Because
Yeah.
I know as a conscious creator, I get what I create. I believe it.
Mhm.
And well, to long story short, what it led me to was getting the money to completely pay for all the dental work I needed.
Yeah,
And
that's awesome.
still to this day, when something comes up that seems contrary, I call it a broken tooth moment. I literally say, "Oh, it's just a broken tooth moment," and we go on
Mhm.
because it's an analogy now. So, but
Yeah.
as a conscious creator, the key in my wording of that for me is not the word conscious; it's the word creator.
Mhm.
Because the word creator means if I am choosing to consciously create something, then I'm getting it, and I believe it because whatever you
Yeah,
ask
and
for in
that
God's
faith
name,
is really important so that
right,
when things do come up that don't look like they're leading you to what you want, you can trust, right? Trust that everything is actually happening for you. And that's why also on the list when we create our ideal lives in the passion test, we add this or something better.
right,
Because you having to go around that boulder in the river may just lead you to an even more beautiful, meadow or
right,
ocean, or we don't know. We're human, so we're limited. So if we leave space for the magic of the universe, of source, then this or something better can come
yeah,
along for us as
absolutely.
we consciously create what we want.
Absolutely. I being open to it. And another thing is I also believe that when an obstacle does come up like that it's there to either make the eventual outcome better,
Mhm.
to show you something you can clear out of your life that you never need anymore.
Yes.
Or, there's all these things, but all of them are good. All of them are
Yeah.
positive. It might not be easy in that moment,
Mhm.
but your creation is always taking the simplest path. But you got to remember, water going downhill sometimes falls off a cliff.
Mhm.
It's called a waterfall, and they're beautiful, right?
Right.
Right. But what happens? It gets to the destination at the bottom of the valley faster
Mhm.
by just falling off the cliff. So coming up
So
against
would
it,
you equate that to surrender, release, letting go,
yeah,
letting
yeah.
God? Yeah.
Well, believing, and if you
Mhm.
believe, you're going to receive,
Mhm.
and it literally does come down to the belief. I've told many stories about things I've created. You've told stories about things you've created in your life, and the key was we said this is what's happening, and you just believed it.
Belief is a key. And also, we can't just sit back and keep believing and
Right.
take no
Well,
action, right? So, like we talked about with Neo with the Amazon, you have to actually place the order.
right, 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 right,
You have
right,
to get on your app and do the thing.
right,
You
right.
have to take action toward it.
It's
You just can't go,
thought, word,
I believe
and
I'm a
deed.
millionaire.
Right. The three elements of the conscious moment: thought, word, and deed.
Yes,
You
deed
actually
matter.
have to do the deed part, and sometimes the deed part is literally like putting out the prayer, putting out the intention,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
And then once you've put out the intention, the next deed might be when something seems contrary, holding on to your intention,
Mhm.
right? And then acting upon the intention, right?
Yes.
And because it to me that's the most fascinating thing, and whenever I've asked for something, I get it.
Yeah.
I became a college professor,
Yeah. That's super
and
cool.
I was like, I just asked for it,
Yeah.
and I got it, like it was handed to me, but I believed it. And
Mhm.
it to me, it really does come down to faith. You have to be very aware of being conscious and creating, but then you have to totally believe it. And
Mhm.
in the Bible, it says you are the children of God, and they call Jesus the Son of God. It's the same thing. The only difference is one of them stepped into the role of creator, and the other ones hadn't
Mhm.
yet.
Mhm.
He was telling them that they're creators, and it comes down to us all stepping into that, as I would call it, the Christed self. You step into that space of being the creator of your experience consciously, like
Mhm.
my buddy over there painting on the wall, you know, Joshua Ben Joseph, right? Like that guy over there, he stepped into that role. He created, and created very well. And he told us that we have the same ability. And I think that's it. All comes down to getting into the I am moment, the conscious moment, and being the creator. So it's conscious creation. Bam, together.
Bam. Love
Bam.
it.
You're like a Wolfgang Puck or something.
All right. Well, that was a good one. Now I am going to wrap us up.
Oh, please do. Hold on. Let me throw you over to the speaker so you get a solo. Go
Ooh.
for it, baby.
All right. So I hope that you all enjoyed this conversation as much as John and I have, and we always love talking to each other. So again, we would love to hear from you. We want to hear your thoughts, read your thoughts on conscious creation. What experiences have you had in this, and what's worked for you, and what have you learned from what didn't? So keep listening, keep reaching out to us. Let us hear from you. And of course, if you are interested in consciously creating a life that you love, passion tests are the way to go. So reach out, and I would love to work with you and help you create your ideal life. And John would also love to work with you. So don't just listen, be active in your life. Don't just let life happen to you, happen to life. And come back next week. We don't know what we're talking about yet again, but it'll be good. We love you. We appreciate you.
Thank you for joining us at Spirit Cafe, a place where you can safely explore your spirituality without the guilt or dogma of religion. Leave all comments and suggestions on the Spirit Cafe podcast Facebook page.